Hello, my name is Lynn McEntee. I am here for Spotlight on Community, a new series for Moksha Canada Foundation. We're starting to talk about newcomers to Canada, and this is our second portion of the program for that. We are welcoming back Saidaltaf Patel, who was with us for the last portion of the program, and will be sharing his expertise on immigration law and newcomers to Canada. I'd like to tell you a little bit about Moksha Canada Foundation. If you're just joining us for the first time, the purpose of the program is to raise awareness and find creative ways to address issues that affect our diverse communities across Canada. Moksha Canada Foundation is a registered not-for-profit community organization which works towards ensuring the well-being of individuals, families, and diverse communities in Canada. We connect, create, and participate. Please welcome our guest, Saidaltaf Patel.
Thank you, Lynn. Thank you for having me here today.
Thank you.
It's a brief introduction. My name is Saidaltaf Patel, and I'm a lawyer practicing in Toronto. I'm an immigrant myself, so I'll share my experience of my journey from immigrating to Canada to becoming a lawyer, and that's what my intention is today here. So I came to Canada in 2002, and I was a lawyer back home. And when I came to Canada, as Sunil said, it's zero, right? So we have to start from scratch. But things are getting better now. Back then, with few resources and difficulties, I started again for legal profession. They have the accreditation body here, which is called National Accreditation of Lawyers, right? National Committee on Accreditation. So I sent my documents to them, and they came back with the result that you have to write 10 exams. 10 exams to get qualified lawyer here, right? So I started writing exams. Back then, there were no more resources as compared to today. Now they have programs in universities and law schools, and you can go to law school and complete those exams. But back then, it was very difficult to get into the law school. So I started studying myself and cleared those exams. And then I had to do the articling again with the trained lawyer here. And then I had to write bar exams. I'm talking about 2007, 2006, 7. Right? But things are getting better. Nowadays, they have LPP programs where you can register yourself and they can set you up for articling and you can write your bar exams. But back then it was very, very difficult to get into the articling too. I tried many law firms, right? But as doctor said in our previous session, it was really very difficult to get into it. But at last, I got one lawyer who was willing to get me into the articling, and I completed that. And I became lawyer in 2007. So since then, I have been practicing law in Toronto.
Congratulations. Oh my goodness. Not only did you put all the time in beforehand, before coming to Canada, but then adding on this other burden, to overcome. Wow, that's incredible. Question at all, Sunil or Anu at this point?
And as Sunil said, that my motivation to come to Canada was same. I was reading an article in Indian newspaper about Canada, that Canada values the highly educated people, and there are very much demands in Canada for highly educated people. And then after reading that article, I decided to immigrate to Canada. But I mean, I have no regrets that I immigrated to Canada. I agree with Sunil, there are barriers, there are hurdles, but I think we have to be positive when we choose a country to make our home. I know it's not our own country where we born and stuff, but I mean, we have to be positive and uh, try to remove those barriers. That's what my belief is.
No, for sure. I know my parents immigrated here as well many years ago, but a very different landscape at the time. You know, I was born in Scotland, but yeah, no, for sure. I think it's a changing landscape all the time, right? And embracing new country that you live in is sometimes very challenging, though, and can be very isolating when you have all of these other burdens to overcome, right?
That's right. Yeah, that's right. I mean, when you come here initially, you don't get job or you don't get jobs in your field. You have to accept any job because you have family to feed. You have expenses, right? I mean, as soon as you land in this country, right, whatever you bring with you, minus 13%. Right?
Minus 13%.
Not paying the taxes.
And you buy a thing, $1.13.
and
Whatever you bring here, minus 13.
wow, that is
That's how
incredible.
it is. But it's a wonderful country. I mean, it's way better. People are getting more jobs. It's easy to integrate into their own field because there are lots of resources nowadays.
Mhm.
And our immigration policies are really good comparison to all other countries. Every year we need like 400,000 immigrants.
Mhm.
And that's why the government is trying to achieve that target. Um, and they are making lots of changes in immigration laws and policies. It's easier than before.
Mhm.
So, and I was immigrant myself, and I have gone through the process, and I understand the trauma and the complexity of the process. So that's why I decided to practice immigration law, so I can help other people to achieve their goals.
Yeah.
Of course, Sunil would say, you are bringing people in and leaving them.
Mhm.
But I mean,
So,
that's one aspect of the
I
one
have,
scenario.
I have one question. Sorry, I'm cutting you off. I have one question on this one.
mhm.
A lot of kids who born here in Canada, doesn't matter whatever background they're from, and they study hard. You know, a lot of students they work because of, you know, the parents always make sure the kids
Yeah.
better than them. You know, so some 6 years, 7 years education, and they don't get the jobs. They don't get the like you know jobs here, and immigration still new immigrants are coming for those jobs, right? The kids who born here, they're not getting the jobs. Like why I'm giving you this example, I have a niece, I'm just saying, she studied 7 years in McMaster, like different universities, and she became a doctor after 8 years. So now she have to apply for a test. She give the test for the US and she give the test for the Canada to for the, what is that called, residency, because there's a system that you have to work 2 years in the local like a hospital, and then you can do your own practice and whatever.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
she gave the test, she passed US and Canada both, but uh, out of like 4,000 people, they only need 40 doctors. So all the students or all the international or national, whatever, the people who study like 7 8 years for the doctors, and now they give the exam, and only 40 people have a chance to become a doctor out of 4,000 or 8,000. So then a lot of people like or you wait for next year. It's every 1 year there's the exam. So every like a June or something. So now out of 4,000, 40 people got it. And then now 3,960 people, out of that, maybe half of them, they become something else. They change their profession. So 8 years of education is gone.
Yeah, yeah. No,
And
that's
then
not an
some
uncommon
of them,
story.
they move to US
Yeah.
or other countries, right? And then we are saying we're short of doctors. We need doctors to Canada. Like you have your own doctors here, born here and raised here, everything, you know. Why not? Like why this thing is there? I just have a question, you know,
Yeah,
mind, you
yeah,
know,
for sure.
like why people have to study 8 years here and they still can't get it, you know, and they have to go out. And then you
Yeah,
still
sort of
say
like,
that there's a shortage of lawyers or shortage of doctors or nurses or whatever, you know.
yeah,
Please,
kind of a broken chain.
please help me out.
Yeah. Ataf, do you want to?
I think um, we are a developing nation, right? We are not fully developed as compared to US, right? If you see US is more developed and more jobs are there, but immigration is one of the factors for our strong economy, right? If we have more people, we can have more businesses, more consumers, right? And we can create more jobs because our economy is based on immigration, real estate and service industries, I believe. And we need more immigrants to fill those gaps. So down the road, I mean, if we talk about 10 years back, right, there were fewer jobs, but now we have more jobs at this point, right? In future, maybe down the road after 10 years, we'll have more jobs in Canada. The economy will be more stronger. That's why the immigration is necessary in Canada. So the government is not doing anything wrong by saying that we need highly educated people, right? They make the people aware that getting immigration is not getting into jobs or your profession, right? They produce that policy. They publish that policy. So whoever chooses to come to Canada, they know this before coming to Canada that the immigration and getting into job or the profession, both are different things. Now people are aware of that, and the government is making them aware of this before they come to Canada. So
Was that something that was
I think this is
misunderstood
more
before?
kind of a choice to come to Canada.
Yeah. So do you think that was a misconception before, Altaf? People thought maybe they'd start working right away?
Yes, that's
Naturally,
right.
right?
That's
Yeah.
right. I mean, before I think before 2002,
Yeah.
there were misconceptions that people could come to Canada and get into this job, get into the profession right away. But then the government has made policies, and they publish that policies on their websites. They make aware of the people that getting immigration is one thing and getting jobs is another thing.
And you would like to see Sunil that
more awareness nowadays, yes.
Yeah. And you would like to see Sunil that bridge, pull those together, right? So there's no gap there. Yeah, neat. No, there has been progress. Altaf, you would say that in your mind, that it has been some progress?
Yes.
Yes.
I would definitely say that more we are seeing more progress every year.
Yeah. In your opinion, when you look at the journey of someone applying to come, could you walk us through that? What that looks like?
Okay, so there are different categories, right? The most popular category, or the most of the immigrants come, is the federal skilled worker category, right?
Okay. Yeah.
So before they used to have, I mean, there are still point systems, but before 2002, how the federal skilled worker program used to work. So you have to have 70 points to come to Canada. I'm talking about before 2002. And so there are factors like education, age, language proficiency, work experience. And then at that time, the visa officer used to have 10 points, so discretionary 10 points. So visa officer used to have interview with the candidates and assess the candidate and then give whatever points are required out of 10. So if the candidates used to get 70 points, they used to get immigration to Canada. Now, in 2002, they changed the Immigration Act and they introduced Immigration and Refugee Protection Act of 2002. And then they reduced the points to 67 points. Instead of 70 points, you have to obtain 67 points. The criteria was most likely the same, but now they have changed it to the express entry immigration. So
what is that?
So how it works, there is an express entry system they have placed, and you have to register your profile into the express entry system. Based on your education, work experience, language ability, and so on, you have to have 67 points. That's the first requirement. The second requirement is you have to meet the cutoff score. So they have like different draws every month or so on. They do the draws, right? And they pick the highest scoring candidates. So let's say if you have 400 points, 450 points, so whatever the draw is, every candidate who has obtained those score will be invited to apply to Canada. So once you get the invitation to apply, you have to make a formal application. In old act, we used to submit the paper application. You don't need the invitation. You don't need nothing. Once you get your 67 score, you can apply. It was a paper application. But now you have to be in a pool. And if you get the invitation to apply, then and then only you can submit the application.
See, Anu, do you have a question? Anu, did you have a question?
Yes, I had a question. It was more of a comment. I was just, you know, how Altaf was making a reference to, the Canadian government, they are bringing like immigration is their responsibility, right? Not assurance to job. So I was just loud thinking that immigration and settlement, they're interconnected. Like they cannot be, you know, taken as two separate entities, because if somebody is being brought into the country, they are coming. Yes, it's their informed decision, but then settlement and immigration, they go hand in hand, and settlement is at all various levels, whether it's social, political, economical, and cultural, legal as well. So I was kind of, you know, a bit confused as to these are not two separate entities and they should go hand in hand. So just a comment there. Yeah,
that's a great comment.
Yes, I know, I agree. And that's why I think government is putting efforts towards it, right? If they are giving more and more funds to the settlement organizations, so more immigrant can get into the profession or the jobs. So they are working on it. And down the road, we will see it. As I said, I mean, if you go back, right, it was very difficult, but now it's easy, and it's becoming more and more easy.
It was starting to be addressed in the 90s with immigration. And then it's evolved from there, you know, into sort of every 5-year chunks, they seem to address different issues related to, right? But I even noticed in the, you know, sort of, it has evolved somewhat as you're speaking to, Altaf. But keeping them aligned is so important. They kind of interconnect with each other.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's right, and I think the efforts have been made. Right, I can talk about like another policy um, regarding inside spousal sponsorship. So back then, when you used to apply for inside spousal sponsorship, let's say you get married in Canada and you have to submit application to sponsor um, your spouse didn't get work permit, right? So he couldn't work, he or she couldn't work back then. But now there is a public policy. If uh, you submit this spousal sponsorship inside Canada, along with that, you can submit an application for open work permit for your spouse. So your spouse can get open work permit and work. So while you are together here, your spouse can work too. So I mean, there are better things happening, I believe. Also, the very recent policy uh, during this pandemic regarding the postgraduate work permit.
Oh,
So
yes.
when student comes here in Canada in a designated learning institute after completion of the program, the student gets a postgraduate work permit. So he or she can work in Canada and get experience that can lead him or her towards the path of permanent residency. So because of pandemic, many students lost jobs or stuff like that. So they have now policy. They would extend the postgraduate work permit up to 18 months, right? But before pandemic, the policy was the postgraduate work permit is one-time work permit. So now they changed that policy, so then student can get work experience because of the pandemic.
Mhm.
So things are way better, I must say.
Yeah. Questions? No?
No, just a comment. Yes, I agree. Like things are definitely getting better, and especially because myself, like I've been working in the settlement sector for quite some time now, and there are a lot of resources available for newcomers, not just once they arrive into the country, even prior to pre-arrival services are also being offered by many settlement organizations, which are funded by IRCC. So I agree, like a lot of good things are happening, but the journey has not ended yet. So a lot of work still needs to be done, but absolutely.
It's evolving. I
Yeah.
must say it's evolving. And as I said, we are developing nation, right? I mean,
Yeah, that's a
we
good point.
can't, I mean, at this juncture, we can't compare ourselves with USA, right?
Mm.
It's more developed. People started to immigrate in USA long time before even, I mean, they thought to come to Canada.
This be a good time then to ask about, excuse me, I guess quota. Is that still part of the process now where a certain amount of people can come from a certain country and then, because of profession or whichever, or how does that work right now?
Okay, so they produce the general quota that they would need like 300,000 or 400,000 immigrants every year, and then they have sub quotas, right? So they have like certain amount of percentage from the federal skilled workers, a certain amount from the Canadian experience class, family class, those kind of things they have in place.
And could you speak to family members such as a grandparent who may come with other family members? And is that more difficult for someone to bring a grandparent or a mother-in-law, father-in-law?
So there are two programs right now for parents and grandparents. One is a super visa. Super visa is kind of a visitor visa, but it's for the longer period of time. So in simple visitor visa, if you have a visitor visa and if you come to Canada, at a time you can stay here for 6 months or whatever period the officer authorizes at the port of entry, right? But in super visa, the parents or grandparents can stay for 2 years at a time without extending this status or anything like that. So that's the difference between visitor visa and super visa. And because they paused the parental and grandparental sponsorship program, that's why they introduced the super visa, so family can be reunited in Canada. Right now, for the parental and grandparents sponsorship program, they have lottery system. So each year they open up for 20 or 30,000 application. You have to register your express of interest. It like first come first serve basis. So once you register yourself, and then if you receive the invitation,
Oh, so we're just lost your sound. Go ahead.
yeah.
So,
So
after invitation?
yes. So after invitation, you can submit the application for the parental sponsorship. So that's how it works. But those like limited applicants. So that's why the super visa was introduced. But I think they should make some more changes towards the parents and grandparents immigration. That's what my opinion. I mean, of course, view expressed by me as my view. I can talk on behalf of government or my profession, right? But they
So in
should
your
do
opinion,
more for the parents and grandparents.
for example, in
This
your
is not
opinion?
enough. I mean, as for my opinion, this is not enough.
Yeah, gotcha. And so what kind of things could they do, or what could be suggested from your optics?
I think like USA, we should have the system like you can sponsor your parents and siblings. You don't need to meet all these income requirements and stuff, because back then when this parent and grandparent sponsorship was there, the sponsor used to meet 1 year's income requirement.
Yeah.
Now they have introduced, you have to meet 3 years income requirement, which is like hurdle, which is barrier, which should be removed. I think we have to introduce something like USA, that you can sponsor your parents, grandparents, your siblings, no matter what age is, and there shouldn't be the income criteria. That's what my opinion is.
Does anyone want to speak to the financial aspect of it in terms of sponsoring someone to come here, and whether that be a barrier to even getting here? Anu or Sunil? I was just going to ask actually about the price range that has changed. You would like to see some changes in that area. So what is a requirement for someone to financially be able to sponsor someone coming into the country?
Okay, so they have set a table. So that table is there. If you are sponsoring one person, so you have to count like this. You have to count first your family, so you, your wife, or I mean vice versa, and then the children under age of 18. So let's say husband, wife, and one child. So there are 3 people. So you have to meet the income criteria for 4 people, not for 1 people. If you are sponsoring 1 person, if you are sponsoring your parents, there are 2 people. So 3, if you have 3 members in the family, then you have to meet the income criteria of 5 people. So I think it's more cumbersome. That's what my opinion is. Oh,
big time. I agree, and unattainable. It seems like the target is always moving, because how do you reach that?
And the sponsor has to meet the criteria for 3 consecutive years, which is more difficult, right? So, and I think the government is like, government wants more economic immigration than the other part of the immigration. I believe that's why the policy is there. And I think, in my opinion, they should do more.
Yeah. Anyone else? Comments? From your experience, would you mind if I open up the conversation to Sunil and Anu in terms of immigrating to Canada? What was the experience like for you? And Anu, do you mind if I ask you first?
No, I would love to. So I have been in Canada for 13 years, actually, completed 13 years in January. Yeah. And overall, I would say it was a wonderful journey because it was a conscious decision being made. And I would say, like, as a family, our expectations were pretty much clear when we came here. Like, it's going to be starting from scratch. So we were not coming to any, dreamy land. So I think having that that mental preparation is also important. Although we were coming as professionals into the country, but we were aware of the ground reality. So I think that mental prep really helped in the process. As far as after landing in this country and accessing settlement organization or settlement services, we did not access any. So in fact, we were not aware of any, I would say. So I'm not too sure. Yes, when you land at the airport, they give you a big bag of hundreds of flyers and information and brochure, and you're not used to, like, coming from back home. You're not used to reading so many resources and printed resources and stuff. So the least you do is just keep them on a side and then kind of focus on how would things run as a family, living in basement. That's a new reality check and stuff like that. So I think, but yes, as we were talking earlier, things are getting better in terms of raising awareness on what kind of settlement services are available to newcomers. And myself, I worked in the settlement sector. I can see now they've started emailing to the organizations beforehand, before they even land. So they're prepping, they're doing their homework. So in that aspect, it was kind of a gap, but that didn't create any hurdle in terms of really growing in this country and realizing our dreams. So myself, my husband, we are doing fairly well in our respective professions. But yes, I think some of the lessons learned were coming as a family helped, because we saw there were certain individuals who were by themselves, like just one partner. They didn't have family support. And as a result, they were prone to getting into depression very soon. Because yes, in the beginning, it's not easy, it's hard. And if you don't have your family with you, it can be harder. So those are some of the lessons learned, which we share with others who are coming. Don't come just one person coming. Maybe it's a husband or the wife based on their credentials. Like, come as a unit if possible, because then you are with each other in this journey. Another personal lesson would be coming early on always helps. Like, we were very young, so we were ready to, take over the world, take on any challenge. As compared to if we would have migrated at this age, when we are like, pretty established in our careers, it could have been harder. So yeah, those are some personal, I think, lessons and experiences, but overall wonderful experience. And then now in our respective capacity as myself and my husband, we are again giving back to the community, supporting many immigrants who come, being their mentors, and stuff like that. So I think it's a full circle. You come as an immigrant, and then you become citizen, and then people who are coming, help them. That's very important. I've seen people saying, you know what, nobody helped us when we came. We had to do so much hard work, so we are not helping anyone. But that's not how life is. It's very, very important, I think. Yes, we all have our fair share of hardships, but at the same time, we are human beings. So it's important that we give back in any way, shape, or form. It doesn't have to be monetary. You don't have to bring people and have them in your basements. No, it can be your guidance. It can be your time. It can be your encouragement that it's okay. We were there once, but we made our way through this entire process. So I think, yeah, those are some of the personal lessons learned, and enjoying as Canadian citizens now.
Do you think that for your children, what is their perspective on it? Do you think that they're enjoying that you have made that transition to here, or do they like to keep the connection to family back home? What is that like for them? Are they getting lots of support? Have they just kind of settled in over the years?
That's a hard one, actually. And I think that for this question, it really depends, I think, from family to family as well, because the way myself and my husband grew up, so I just have one child, but the way myself and my husband grew up back home, we used to stay more like from high school itself, we home, so outside in boarding schools and hostels. And so we were more independent. And I think as such, we are not very, emotionally kind of, not that we are not emotional people, but then we didn't live in a extended family system that we miss on. Yes, it's always good to have your family around. But as far as my son is concerned, I think with our second family here in Canada, in terms of our friends and some close relations we were able to develop over the 10, 12 years, he has a system in place. So I think with time, you have to see, yes, you have your blood relation, you miss them for sure. It would be awesome to have them here, all of them. But if not, like you make your second family here. So yeah.
That's awesome. So now could you speak to the mentorship aspect of things, with even the work that you're doing through Moksha Canada and the message that you're trying to get out there and convey about inclusion and community, in terms of just seeing the beauty of shining light on all these wonderful people and citizens. How does that feel to you? What is that like for you?
Actually, now feel wonderful, excellent. But when we started, why we started? Because when we see people are like all separated, like people are, we're supposed to be together. Everybody left their countries, come to this country and make this country our home. Why don't we talk each other? Why don't we learn from each other? The more involvement, I don't know about some cultures, their food, their dress. If I don't know, I will make fun of it. That's what the people does over here, right? A lot of people, if you don't know about other cultures, other stuff, and you don't want to join with them, then you don't know about them. You say, no, they're good or they're bad. Judgment, right? So that's why we start doing like with a couple of other friends and then a lot of advisors. We just join and we all come from different backgrounds. So we start doing all these things like, let's bring the cultures together, let's bring the food together, music together. Music is the key. Like music, everybody love the music. Doesn't matter what language, as long as the music is there, good. So joining the people, different things, different ideas. Everybody have a different ideas, different things. So we just keep doing. So that's what we're doing. And a lot of people, when you see a lot of people are giving you like appreciating you, giving you a lot of blessings like that, it feels so good that yes, it means we are doing something good. Doesn't matter whatever people say, whatever. As long as we know people are happy what we're doing and they're taking participation and they're learning from different things. They say, wow, we didn't know that. When you hear these kind of things, it feels good. Yeah. So that's, I think, Anu and I think everybody agree with me. This feels very good. Like when you say, okay, yes, we start something and now we are happy that people are taking advantage. And a lot of people, they call us, like they ask a lot of questions like about immigration, about so many things, about their parents, seniors, youth. They call about the music or something, whatever, So we always have an advisor like for different things. So we say, okay, like we are not the lawyers. So then we have advisors and we give them, okay, here is the number, call them and mention Moksha Canada Foundation. They will tell you everything, whatever you want for free. So like that's the way, helping the community. That's what I think makes me happy, and our team, everybody is happy in that way, like helping somebody and and getting appreciation back. That's the best part.
Yeah, and it's just it's contagious actually, and the shared laughter and experiences is just so wonderful. I certainly I really noticed that about the Moksha Canada Foundation. It really is that it's bringing people together and all these different prongs of society doing many different wonderful pieces of work. and just pulling it all in, whether it be a youth or a senior, a lawyer, an immigrant and a settlement worker, pulling us all together so that we can pool our resources of knowledge, of life, and make it a very rich community. So no, it's very cool. Altaf, I wonder if we have a little bit more time here. I wondered in terms of mentorship for you as a low question. Yeah, question from Sunil.
I have a question for Lynn, for first. What do you think coming and joining Moksha Canada Foundation and supporting as a volunteer, like we all are volunteers anyways, we just take out our time from our families and putting it here. So what do you think and how you feel about what we're doing, and what do you think we should do more, better? And then we can go to.
Yeah, for sure. No, I love that question. Thank you. I love it. I'm actually drawn to it very much so, because that's the core of who I am as a person, and all of the work that I've done. Each and every position I've had, whether it be teaching newcomers English, or learning Mandarin Chinese myself, or doing traditional Chinese dancing, or whatever it may be, I believe that all of that umbrella is really, as you said, where there's all these similarities, right? And brings us all together, shared laughter, shared experiences. So I think what Moksha Canada Foundation is actually doing, what really is what we should be doing, is offering and providing opportunities and platforms for people to engage, whether it be through music, whether it be through some form of shared laughter, whether it be through resources. So I think just keep on doing what we're doing and what you're doing and what Moksha Canada Foundation is doing, in my opinion. Yeah. And Altaf, back to you.
I would like to add something to Anu's comment, helping others. And Anu was talking about, some people think, we face difficulties, so we have to let people face difficulties too, right? I would like to share a story. When I came to Canada, of course, back then, few resources, and we used to have some references that people back home used to tell us, okay, you go and meet such and such person. He knows, or he is my relative, friend. You go meet him and he would help him. If you need anything, ask him, right? So I would like to share my story. When I came to Canada, I had such reference, and I went to meet that person. So he asked me, what you used to do in back home? And I said, I was a lawyer. So what do you think now? So I said, I would become a lawyer again. And he said, no, that's the white people's job. You don't need to be a lawyer here. It's not your job. And I was thinking, and let me tell you, when I came to Canada, I knew about the National Committee on Accreditation. I had my transcript and everything together. But because that person said, it's not your job to be a lawyer here, for 1 year, I didn't do anything towards my journey to become a lawyer. I thought, yeah, he came before me, way back, right? So he knows better than me. So I thought, let's not pursue this. But when I used to go places to places, and when I used to see the advertisements of lawyers and the offices of the lawyers, and those lawyers are from South Asian communities too, I think, what are these people doing here? So let me try. And it was worth trying, right? So I tried and I became a lawyer. So regarding the mentorship, then I started sharing my books with other students, right? So whoever wants to be a lawyer, get my books, study, give exams. So I started like whoever a newcomer lawyer, I started with my profession. And in my profession, articling is one of the hardest components. It's very difficult to get into. So I always give articling to the other students right now. I always have, we only allowed to have 2 articling students at a time, I always have these 2 articling students so they can complete their journey and be lawyers.
Oh, that's incredible. Yeah, that's very giving of yourself to do that. Oh, we're just about ready to wrap up our session today. Any final comments or questions before we go? No?
Sunil?
Yeah.
I think when you started about this immigration and the employability of the candidates, I think Anu answered that question very well.
Yeah. Yeah. She did. It was lovely. So I would like to just celebrate. Sunil?
I think it was a good session today, and I learned a lot of things too. And I think we all learned something from, it's always good to, discuss like this. So one thing I want to ask, in case if somebody wants to have any questions, what we're going to do, we're going to share your information on our website so people can go there and ask, and, mention or not mention, doesn't matter. You just give them you can give them the consultation and advice. Like advice is because right advice is very important. Because there are so many people give advices, but the right advice is very important. So that's what we need, and that's why we want to have the community, anybody. And that's why, Anu, we say anybody and everybody is welcome for us. It doesn't matter. You don't have to say so many words, simple, anybody and everybody.
I agree.
So we're going to share your information on our stuff, social media stuff, and people will be calling you hopefully soon and asking and bothering you and asking you questions.
Thank you. Thank you very much. It was really wonderful experience to be here. Thank you, Lynn. Thank you, Sunil. And thank you, Anu.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Take care.
Thank you so much to all of our.
Yeah, one final comment there. I think I was just looking at the screen, and 4 of us had an amazing discussion today. Of course, Altaf, you were, it was so much of information we received from you. But I was just reflecting in my head, 4 of us who were once upon a time immigrants are sitting here and trying to create a better world or society for immigrants to come. And that speaks a lot about, of course, Moksha Canada, but about Canada itself. So yeah, on that note, really proud to be Canadian and to be working in this sector where we can make a difference in lives of many, many others. Thank you, everyone.
It is rightly said, the Canada is a land of opportunity.
Yeah, for sure. Well said, and what can we add to that? Thank you so much for being here today, and to our viewers as well. Thank you for learning and growing with us along the way. Spotlight on Community. Check us out again, Moksha Canada Foundation. We're celebrating life all the way. Thank you so much.